I'm America's digital pro, Kim Komando. And in tech news this week, Facebook's got a new trick to track your every move, and you're not going to believe this one. Plus, a clever credit card scam you need to know about, and also tell your family members and friends. And I'm going to share with you some of my free favorite computer programs that you can download anytime. Now, let's get the latest from the Komando.com news desk.
Well, it's another week, and Facebook just can't seem to dig itself out of the hole that it's dug. It's been slammed, as we all know, for allowing election meddling, racist posts, inappropriate videos, including rapes and killings, people being shot on Facebook Live, and now it may be the lowest yet. And if you haven't yet heard about this Facebook story, about its perhaps bizarre and dysfunctional staff, and its catering to pedophiles, if you haven't heard, then stand by. And let me just say this outright. Facebook has an ongoing pedophile problem. Sexual predators have used Facebook to gather, to chat among themselves, and of course to trade child porn, which is bad enough. But this past week, Facebook was caught red-handed asking average users if they think that pedophiles should be able to proposition underage girls and try to get them to send the pedophile sexually explicit photographs. We'll take a moment and let that sink in. Users were asked whether they would mind seeing posts of an adult man propositioning a 14-year-old. And also, would it be okay to allow an adult man to ask for sexual pictures from a minor? Now, how anyone could think that even putting that question up in a poll would be okay is beyond all of us. The British press caught this so-called survey question on Facebook, and when caught, Facebook scrapped the survey and floated a lame excuse, saying that the survey should have been, get this, better designed. And that brings up questions about what kind of staff Facebook might employ, what kind of people would even think that these questions would be appropriate. Facebook has a pedophile problem, all right, and to fix it, perhaps they should start with their own staff. And this, of course, from the big social media website that's trying to push Facebook Messenger for kids. Parents, think twice. Now, speaking of pornography, only a few decades ago, fighting porn was a major part of local and federal law enforcement. But of course, the internet changed all of that. And now, America's smallest state may be launching its own war against online porn, or maybe they're just trying to cash in on online porn. The war, if that's what it is the brainchild of two Rhode Island state senators who've concocted a bill requiring all internet service providers operating in Rhode Island, and that would be just about everybody, to block, I'm quoting now, all sexual content and/or patently offensive material, unless the customer makes a request to the internet service provider in writing and then pays a fee of $20 to unblock all the porn sites. Of course, if they compile a list of people asking for porn permission, how long would it take the hackers to get that list and make it public? And the fee is a big key also, because with millions of hours of new porn flowing in from all over the world, making it impossible to stop, and using vague words like the word offensive, is Rhode Island really trying to control online porn, or just trying to quickly generate millions of dollars in new revenue as a censorship tax? Why not just call this what it is?
This week on the Komando On Demand podcast, for every police officer that goes down in the line of fire, hundreds are saved by new technologies in ballistics, body armor, bulletproof protective gear, and more. Well, now you can get the very same gear used by special forces and law enforcement to protect you and your family. Kim talks to 3 specialists in this field, and it's this week on the free Komando On Demand podcast. It's on the Komando app or on your favorite podcast player by searching Komando.
And this week, there's a new and clever credit card scam making the rounds. It's one you probably wouldn't notice right away. Obviously, if a scammer gets your credit card number and runs up a huge bill, you'd notice and you'd call your credit card company right away and report the fraudulent charges. But credit card thieves are getting more crafty, and now they're using your cards for little things. Things you'd likely not notice, at least right away, like a Netflix subscription, which you probably already have, so you may not pay particularly close attention to the charge. And there are smaller fees, charged on a month-to-month basis, that tend to slip under the radar. And that's what these crooks are hoping will happen. So pay close attention to your bills every month. If there's something on there, regardless of what it costs, that you didn't sign up for, or if the balance seems off, or if you catch anything, report it to your bank and credit card company right away. It's probably a scam. And speaking of scammers, you know, they often target restaurants where most people swipe their cards and pay for their meals. As customers, we would expect every company to have a secure point-of-sale system, but that's not always the case. And now we've learned of a massive data breach at one of the country's most popular chain restaurants. If you've recently eaten at Applebee's, hackers may have your credit card information. Unauthorized software is apparently installed on some of the restaurant's point-of-sale systems at certain locations. This malware is designed to steal payment card information from any guest who swipes their card. They get your name, credit or debit card number, expiration dates, card verification codes, all of it, all compromised, and it could be in the hands of hackers right now. The data breach happened last year in December and up until January of this year. Applebee's managers say the malware has been removed, but it's probably a good idea for you to keep an eye on your accounts, change your banking passwords, set up two-factor authentication, and watch out for phishing scams that pretend to be a warning from Applebee's. Because it's all a scam, and all of these things will just get you in more trouble.
A few times each year, I tell you what lies just ahead in technology that affects your life. Today, what you need to know about something called 5G. It's coming this year. If you're using a new smartphone, it's operating on a 4G LTE network. It's about 10 times faster than the old 3G systems from 5 years ago. And now, both Verizon and AT&T are ready to roll out the 5th generation network known as 5G technology. Those big cell towers that have been around for 30 years will slowly disappear with 5G. The new signals will come from small antennas mounted on streetlights or utility poles, placed only 500 feet apart. But the big deal with 5G is speed. So fast, you can download a 4K movie in 3 minutes or less. Homes will have faster connections than most businesses now have, with speeds of 2 gigabits per second. The first city will be Sacramento, California, and from there, 5G speeds will spread like wildfire. In the history of business, there's never been anything like Amazon. The closest is probably Sears. Back then, Sears called itself the world's largest store. But it's Amazon that's uniquely poised to become the world's largest business. Until today, if you asked me where Amazon would go next, I would have said the pharmacy business, taking on Walgreens and CVS. But Wall Street sees something even bigger. Consider if Amazon partners with a bank. Don't laugh. The Wall Street Journal reports that Amazon is already in discussions with JP Morgan Chase. And why not? With its sales, Amazon is giving up $250 million a year in credit card processing fees alone. Plus, people love Amazon. The trust factor is there. The numbers show that Amazon could grow to become one of the top 3 U.S. banks with 70 million customers within just 3 years. So what's next for Amazon? Basically, anything it wants.
Get the best travel tips to find cheap airfare. Komando.com.
Now, if you know that old saying that bad news travels fast, well, as it turns out, fake news travels even faster. And no, it's not the Russians who are doing it, despite what you see on television's evening news every night. So let's play a game of what if. What if all that false, misleading, and phony online news is not because of the Russians, and it's not because of extreme right-wing or left-wing political operatives? What if the problem is us? There are 3 researchers at MIT, and they found that regardless of the subject, whether it's politics, science, tech news, even urban legends, bogus stories are, now listen to this, 70% more likely to be retweeted and shared than factual, real news. Now, who's doing it? Well, apparently, average everyday people. And when software bots are subtracted from this equation, the results are still the same. About 70% more fake news stories get retweeted and forwarded. The more novel and outrageous the fake news story, the faster it spreads. So make it a habit to fact-check all the stories at reputable websites before you forward a story in a retweet. That'll go a long way to stopping all the nonsense. Think before you retweet. There's good news for parents who are concerned over their kids' access to Netflix. Netflix just announced a new PIN protection feature that's a personal information number. It will help parents have more control over what their kids watch by setting a PIN for individual movies and original series. Netflix is also making maturity level ratings more prominent. They'll add them to the title of each motion picture, so you'll know what to expect before you hit the play button. The new features will be available on Netflix coming out over the next few months. Well, how many times have you entered the wrong password for your phone? Twice? Maybe 3 times? When you do it many times, your phone, especially the iPhone, will lock itself longer and longer for each incorrect password. Well, there's a 2-year-old boy, a toddler, in China, who's entered the wrong passcode to his mother's iPhone so many times that the phone is now locked for 25 million minutes. If you want to do the math real quick, that comes out to almost 48 years. Now, in a situation like this, it's possible to do a factory reset, which means you get the phone back, but you lose all the photos, all the data, everything that was stored on the phone. The answer, of course, is to back it all up in the cloud, and one of our great sponsors, iDrive, is a fantastic solution. They say the best things in life are free, right? So maybe that should include computer programs. Well, here's Kim with her favorite free programs that you want to start using right now.
Free is one of the best 4-letter words in the English language. I mean, who doesn't love scoring something great at no cost? If you're like me, you shop around for the best apps and computer programs, and then your eyes will bulge with sticker shock. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet and pay big bucks for a program, but other times the free option will get you the same results. So how do you find them? Well, that's why I'm here. I found some free options you can download anytime. Like this free tool to stop creepy online tracking. You know those ads that just follow you from one website to the next, all because you searched for something once on Amazon? Well, advertisers rely on your computer's cookies to stalk you. But if you disable your cookies, you're not going to be able to access a bunch of popular sites, including Facebook. So I like to use a free extension called Privacy Badger. You can use it with Chrome, Firefox, and Opera, and it will automatically stop your computer from downloading a cookie or a tracker. Now, if you like to edit photos, you've probably looked into purchasing Photoshop, but you know it's expensive. It's also pretty complicated. One of the best alternatives I've found is GIMP. It's free to download, it's really easy to use, and it really has a lot of the same features you'll find in Photoshop, including animations and drawing options. Finally, how to know if someone's actually watching you on your webcam. I can bet your laptop or your computer's open right now and that camera's looking at you. A hacker can watch what's happening behind your closed doors and even take photos. It's really hard to know if your camera's been compromised, so developers created programs like Who Stalks My Cam? The program will figure out if your camera was hijacked and it monitors in real time, so you'll actually be alerted if it ever happens. For Mac users, Oversight is a similar program to keep tabs on your privacy. I've got more great free programs in my USA Today column this week, including all the links that you might need. To check it out, head over to Komando.com. In the Read section, just hit Columns. You're up to date, and I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Komando. Hey, stay up to date with all the Komando articles and podcasts with the Komando app. It's free, and you get notifications for podcasts like this one and the very latest articles on everything digital and those security alerts. And if you like this podcast, do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe. Head over to iTunes, Google Play, and also give us a great 5-star rating and review us, because that helps us better our podcasts and also helps more people to find our podcasts. And that's what it's all about. So thanks for listening. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you on the radio for the Kim Komando Show.